They adjusted their flight paths and dove together, leaving the Prishen-Kel swarm behind, descending toward the second waypoint. The air grew thicker as they descended, warmer, wetter. They were approaching the shadow hollows, the layer of atmosphere where mist and vapor forests grew in the space between floating reefs, fed by condensation and thermal vents. It was beautiful down here, quiet. The light filtered through layers of fog, turning everything soft and dreamlike. Velun Raesh drifted past them, silk drifters, those floating bioluminescent ribbons that carried spores from the inverted gardens. They glowed in shades of amber and violet, leaving trails of light in the mist. "I always forget how calm it is down here," Kes said quietly. "That's because predators can't see in the fog," Selen replied. "Makes it safer." "Nothing's safe," Torvin said. "Just different dangers." "Are you always this cheerful?" Vaylari asked. "I'm being realistic." Before she could respond, Kes suddenly veered left, his wing pattern becoming erratic. "Air pocket! I can't! I'm dropping!" He was. His wings were flapping, but the air beneath him had vanished, a void in the thermal flow, a dead zone where nothing could hold you up. He fell 20 meters, 30, 40. "Hold on!" Vaylari folded her wings and dove after him, cutting through the fog like a knife, accelerating faster than gravity should allow. She could see Kes below her, still flapping uselessly, panic taking over. "Kes, stop flapping! You're making it worse!" "I can't stop!" "Yes, you can! Listen to me!" She was closer now. "Fold your wings! Let yourself fall! There's a thermal below us. I can feel it on my band, but you have to drop into it." "What if you're wrong?" She grabbed his arm. "I'm not wrong. Trust me." For a moment, Kes just stared at her. And then he folded his wings. They fell together. 5 seconds. 10. 15. And then, the thermal hit them from below like a cushion made of warmth and wind. They both opened their wings at the same moment, catching it, letting it lift them back up toward the waypoint. Kes was breathing hard, shaking. "You were right," he said with a shaky laugh. "I'm always right." "Don't let that go to your head." "Too late." Selen and Torvin were waiting at the second waypoint, another crystal, this one glowing pale blue in the mist. "Everyone okay?" Selen asked. "Define okay," Kes replied. Torvin looked at Vaylari with grudging respect. "That was good flying." "Thanks." Above them, through the fog, they could just barely see the edge of the high canopy, the third and final waypoint. Thalen's voice crackled through their bands. 20 minutes remaining. Final waypoint is in the lower high canopy, near the Aurora Belt. Thermals are unstable up there due to stormfall interference. Fly smart." Vaylari looked up. "Okay, one more leg. We can do this." "The high canopy. Great," Kes said nervously. "We trained for this," Selen reminded him. "Trained and tested are two different things," Torvin said. Vaylari ignored him. "Let's fly." And together, the 4 cadets spread their wings and began the ascent toward the high canopy, where the air grew thin, where the aurora danced, and where something was very, very wrong. The ascent to the high canopy was not like any other kind of flying. Down in the sky reef belt, the air was thick and forgiving. Thermals were strong, predictable, easy to read. You could make mistakes and the wind would catch you anyway. In the mid-sky, the air was faster, sharper, but still breathable, still manageable. But the high canopy was where the atmosphere started to forget what air was supposed to be. Vaylari felt it immediately as they rose through the transitional layer. Her lungs had to work harder. Each breath pulled in less oxygen, made her chest feel tight, made her wings feel heavier even though they weighed the same. The temperature dropped, not gradually, but suddenly, like flying through an invisible wall of cold. And the light changed. The aurora was always present in the high canopy, but during the day it was subtle, faint ribbons of green and violet that rippled across the upper atmosphere like silk curtains moving in a breeze that didn't exist. At night, it became a burning river of color that could blind you if you stared too long. Right now, mid-morning, it was somewhere in between. Beautiful, dangerous, alive. But today, something was different. The aurora ribbons weren't flowing smoothly. They stuttered, flickered. In places, they seemed to dim and brighten in irregular pulses, not the natural rhythm Velari had studied, but something arrhythmic, wrong. Her band buzzed against her wrist, not the gentle hum of tower guidance, a sharper vibration, almost like static. Is it supposed to be this hard to breathe? Kess asked, his voice strained. Yes, Selin replied. Your body will adjust. Just don't hyperventilate. And don't look directly at the aurora streams, Torvin added. They'll burn your eyes. I see the waypoint, Velari said, squinting ahead. There, near that cluster of aurora ribbons. The third crystal was embedded in a floating chunk of ancient reef stone, one of the rare pieces of solid matter that had somehow drifted up into the high canopy and stayed there, held in place by magnetic fields and air currents that even the scholars didn't fully understand. It glowed white, pure, clean, cutting through the aurora light like a beacon. But getting to it wasn't going to be simple. Between them and the waypoint was a maze of thermal currents that twisted and braided together like rivers made of wind, some rising, some falling, some spiraling in tight corkscrew patterns that could throw you off course if you hit them wrong. Velari studied the patterns, her band humming against her wrist as it fed her data from the nearest tower. Temperature gradients, wind speed, pressure zones. But the data kept cutting out. Gaps in the stream. Moments of silence where her band went dead, then came back with readings that didn't quite match what she was feeling in the air around her. She could read the patterns. She'd trained for this. But training and doing were two different things. I'll go first, Torvin said. Follow my path. It's safer. I can navigate my own path. I didn't say you couldn't. I said mine is safer. I see a faster route, through that gap between the rising thermal and the crosswind corridor. Velari, Selin's voice held a warning. I can make it. It's just a tight angle. She didn't wait for permission. She adjusted her wing angle and dove toward the gap, a narrow corridor between two massive air currents, one pulling up, one pushing sideways. If she timed it right, she could slip through, catch the thermal on the other side, and cut 30 seconds off their approach time. If she timed it wrong... Velari, wait, Kess called, but she was already committed. She folded her wings tight against her body, making herself as small as possible, and dove into the gap. For 3 seconds, it worked perfectly. The wind screamed past her. The aurora ribbons blurred into streaks of color. Her heart pounded with exhilaration. And then, she felt it. A shift in the air pressure. Subtle, almost imperceptible, but wrong. Oh no. The crosswind hit her like a fist. Not from the side where she'd expected it, from below. A sudden updraft that caught her wings at the worst possible angle and flipped her. She tried to correct, pulled her wings in, tried to roll with it. But her timing was off by half a second. Her left wing caught the thermal edge wrong. The membrane bent backward, straining, nearly folding inside out. She spun. Once. Twice. The world became a blur of sky and aurora and panic. No, 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 stabilize, come on. She flapped hard, fighting against the rotation, trying to find any current she could grab onto. And then gravity took over. She dropped. 10 meters, 20, 30. Her wings finally caught something, a weaker thermal, unstable, but enough to slow her fall. She pulled up hard, breathing fast, her heart hammering in her chest. She'd lost altitude, lost time, and worse, she'd lost her angle. The gap she'd been trying to fly through was now above her and behind her, and the thermal currents had shifted. There was no way to reach it now without backtracking. Torvin, Selin, and Kess had taken the safer route and were already approaching the waypoint. "Valari, are you okay?" Kess called. "I'm fine, just miscalculated." "Told you," Torvin said, not quite gloating but close. "Shut up," she muttered. She adjusted her course, taking the long way now, the safe way, following the same path the others had used. By the time she reached the waypoint, they were already there, waiting. Selin looked concerned. Kess looked relieved. Torvin looked smug. "Faster route, huh?" he said. "I said shut up." "Are you hurt?" Selin asked gently. Valari checked her wings. "No, just bruised and stupid." "You're not stupid," Kess said. "That thermal shifted. I saw it on my band. It wasn't where the forecast said it would be." "I should have felt it. I should have known before I committed." Before anyone could respond, Thalen's voice cut through their bands. Calm, patient, but with an edge that made Valari's stomach sink. "Astrakhan Valari, please explain what you were attempting with that maneuver." She closed her eyes. Of course he'd been watching. "I saw a gap in the thermal pattern and tried to use it to save time." "And what happened?" "I misread the crosswind gradient and lost control," she said quietly. A pause. "Correct." Silence on the band. Vailari waited for the lecture, the reprimand, the disappointed tone that Thalen used when cadets made preventable mistakes. But it didn't come. Instead, his voice was thoughtful. "Do you know what the difference is between a good navigator and a dead one?" "Judgment," she guessed. "Close. Humility. A good navigator knows their limits. They know when the sky is giving them a gift and when it's testing them. You saw an opportunity. That's good. Your instincts were sound. But you didn't listen when the wind told you it wasn't ready to give you that path." Vailari stood on the waypoint platform, her wings still trembling slightly from the strain, and let those words sink in. "The sky listens, Astrakhan Vailari, but only when you listen first." "Yes, Weave Jehuti." "Good. Now, all four of you, return to the training spire. Your exam time is complete." The band went quiet. Vailari looked at the others. "You almost had it, you know," Kess said encouragingly. "If that thermal hadn't shifted." "But it did shift, and I should have been ready for it." "We all make mistakes," Selin said. "I dropped 40 meters on my first high canopy run because I panicked during an aurora flare. And I once flew straight into a Drethvos thermal trap because I was too focused on my speed time to notice the predator patterns," Torvin admitted. "Thalen had to pull me out." Vailari looked at him, surprised. "Really?" He shrugged. "We all have bad flights. The point is learning from them." She took a long breath, let it out slowly, felt the cold, high canopy air fill her lungs. Listen first. "All right, let's head back." The four of them launched together, leaving the white waypoint crystal behind, beginning their descent back through the atmospheric layers toward Teshval. The aurora ribbons rippled above them, but still with that strange, stuttering quality, that wrongness. And Vailari tried very hard not to think about the fact that she'd failed. Even though, technically, she hadn't. She'd just not succeeded as perfectly as she'd wanted to. which somehow felt worse. By the time they landed back at the training spire, the morning had shifted into early afternoon. The light had changed, warmer, deeper. And in the distance, toward the western edge of the sky reef belt, the first hints of the stormfall clouds were beginning to gather. Dark, roiling, patient, waiting for twilight. Glow ink, 3 colors, perfect for wing decoration. Aevyssar wove through the crowd, Kess close behind. Families browsed the stalls. Children chased each other between platforms, their wings not quite strong enough for sustained flight yet, gliding in short bursts and giggling when they stumbled. Crystal garden farmers floated past on low-gravity vines, their cargo nets filled with bioluminescent flowers that pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. "Where do you want to eat?" Kess asked. "There, Shenra's stand. Best wind fruit wraps on the chain. Shenra charges twice what everyone else does, because her food is twice as good." They made their way toward a smaller stall near the edge of the platform, where an older Aeroki female was assembling wraps with the kind of practiced precision that only came from decades of repetition. Shenra didn't look up. "Aevyssar, Kess, the usual? You remember us? You come here every 5th day after training. Of course I remember you." She glanced up, amused. 2 wind fruit wraps, extra shimmer leaf, light on the nectar paste. Kess nudged Aevyssar. "Are we that predictable?" "Apparently." Shenra handed them their wraps, warm, fragrant, wrapped in translucent leaf paper that glowed faintly in the afternoon light. "How was the exam?" Aevyssar took a bite. "Complicated. Thalen's exams always are." Before Aevyssar could respond, a familiar voice called out from across the platform. "Aevyssar!" She turned. Her father was walking toward them, his marketplace guardian uniform, a simple vest marked with wind glyphs of authority, dusty from a morning of work. Tor Amu Rishal was not as elegant as her mother, not as refined. He was practical, grounded, the kind of Aeroki who worked with his hands and didn't apologize for it. His wings were smaller than most, built for short bursts rather than sustained flight. He'd never flown higher than the sky reef belt in his life, and he was fine with that. "Tor Amu, I thought you were working the wind bridges today." "Finished early." He reached them, pulling her into a brief hug. "Stormfall reinforcements are done." He looked at Kess. "How's your family?" "Good, sir. My mother sends her greetings." "Tell her I said hello." He turned back to Aevyssar. "How did the exam go?" She hesitated. "I made a mistake. In the high canopy." "Are you hurt?" "No, just embarrassed." His expression softened. "Good. Embarrassment heals faster than broken wings." He looked at her for a moment, then glanced toward the western sky, where the stormfall clouds were definitely closer now, darker, beginning to build into towering columns. "High canopy's already unstable. I heard reports from the storm wardens this morning. Thermal inversions, pressure drops." He paused. "And something about the towers singing wrong. First time in my life I've heard a warden say she didn't trust her equipment." "We finished before it got dangerous." "Good." He looked at her seriously. "I know you want to join the Armada someday. I know you want to fly higher than anyone else. But promise me something." "What?" "Promise me you won't confuse bravery with recklessness." The words hit harder than she expected. "I promise." He pulled her into another hug. "Good girl. Now go, enjoy your afternoon. Your mother wants you home before the storms hit." "I will." He nodded to Kess, then turned and walked back toward the wind bridge checkpoint, his wings folded tight against his back. Kess waited until he was out of earshot. "He worries about you." "I know. That's not a bad thing. I know that too. She turned back. Come on, let's walk before we head back. They finished their wraps as they wandered through the market, past vendors selling crystal-grown jewelry and wind harps and woven flight harnesses for children learning to fly, past performers juggling glow spheres in midair, their wings beating in time with music from resonance tubes, past elders sitting on perches, discussing philosophy and weather patterns and the quality of this year's wind fruit harvest. It was normal, perfect, ordinary. The kind of day that Valari had lived 1,000 times before and would live 1,000 times again. Or so she thought. After leaving the Vorlis chain, Valari didn't go straight home. She should have. The stormfall winds were building. Her mother expected her back. Her father had warned her. But something pulled at her, a restlessness, a need to be alone with the sky for a little while longer. So instead of flying toward her family's platforms, she banked south and dove. Down, past the sky reef belt, past the mid-sky corridor, down toward the shadow hollows. Valari, where are you going? Kess called after her. The under reef. I'll see you tomorrow. The storms are coming. I know, I won't stay long. She folded her wings and let herself drop, faster than necessary, feeling the cold air rush past her face, letting gravity do the work. It felt good, simple. No thinking, no planning, just falling.